Welcome to today's meeting. This is the bidders conference for the recently released RFP, Understand Community Priorities for the Veterans, Seniors, and Human Services Levy. Just a few basics as far as how the meeting will be held today. This is a Zoom webinar, slightly different than Zoom meetings. For our meeting today, you'll see there are some folks with panelists set up as panelists and others as attendee. Panelists have permission to use video, audio, and chat, while attendees are joining as listening privileges only. Chat will be enabled, and we will have opportunity to go over some questions, and we can unmute you at that time. The reason being, we are just needing to add some additional security as a number of our recent meetings have been disrupted. And so we're wanting to make sure that we're able to have this important conversation in a productive way for everyone. So bear with us as we figure out how to do that. But we do want to invite you into those portions, allow you to speak. And so we'll call on you for that. So again, panelists, we can hear you unless your microphone is muted, and we can see you. And so if you don't want to be seen, please turn your video off. This meeting is being recorded, just so folks are aware on that. And when a short matter of time, we'll have the video posted up on Zoom links as well for reference. So attendees, if you need to speak at any point, whether it's for questions, answers, or elsewhere, please raise your hand and we will unmute you. And the facilitator and the host will be managing those functions. So your screen should look somewhat like this. Audio settings are over on this side. You can adjust that. You can chat with panelists. And then raising your hand is probably the big one to be able to speak into the meeting. And you can put questions and answers here as well. We will be monitoring that and pulling questions in. And what doesn't show here is there's a closed captioning option as well. My apologies for not referencing that at the outset, but this closed captioning is available for reference as well. So yeah. Once again, here's where closed captioning, your bottom ribbon may look slightly different, but if you select this, you should be able to see live captioning for this event. And as you can also see, we are providing ASL interpretation for this meeting, and they are visible as a panelist. Tips for participants, including myself, remembering to speak slowly. So our captioner and the rest of the community members can follow along. And then before you speak, please say your name. For example, I am Kip and I have a question. And if you use abbreviations, please spell those out just for everyone's tracking and understanding. Would also like to begin with a native land acknowledgement, just as part of our meetings here for many native communities and nations. Land acknowledgement is a traditional custom, and for non-Indigenous communities, it's a way to show respect and honor the land and remembrance of history. And so with that, we would like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Puget Sound Salish and Duwamish people, and we honor with gratitude and the land itself and the Duwamish tribe and Puget Sound Salish people. For more information, you can follow that link as well. And so we'd like to do welcome and introductions. I will start with myself. My name is Kip Swanson, and I am with King County's Veterans Senior and Human Services team, working with the veterans portion of the levy well as the Direct Service Office of the King County Veterans Program. And I am sharing my screen, so I can't see who all is here, but if we could run through, there we go, and now everyone can probably see this as well. But if we want to just run through King County staff, maybe introducing yourselves, and then we'll hand it over to the attendees, and we'll work on unmuting you so you all can introduce yourself and the organization you're with.
Hi, this is Tommaso Johnson. I'm a program manager with King County and Levy, and I'm on the Resilient Communities team, which was formerly known as Vulnerable Populations.
Hi, my name is Virginia Wise, and I'm also with King County on the Veteran Seniors and Human Services Levy team on the seniors team specifically. And Kip, I just wanted to let you know, I'm not sure if you could see this because I know you're sharing your screen, but your audio was cutting in and out a little bit
Gotcha.
for part of the introduction. So maybe if there's other apps you can close potentially, that might help.
Got it. Thank you. Sorry about that, everyone.
Hello, everyone. This is Adam Schmid. I also work for King County, and I'm a part of the operations team helping with some Zoom logistics today. Okay. You want us to go to the attendees now, Kip? Or shall we introduce our interpretation and captioning staff?
Sorry about that. Having trouble navigating here. Yeah, if everyone on the call, if they would like to introduce themselves, including interpretation and captioning, that'd be great.
Okay. Still getting a little interference in your microphone, just so you know. Okay, so I'll run down the list of attendees. This is Adam again. I'll run down the list of attendees and just offer you a moment to introduce yourselves. I'm going to go down the names alphabetically in the Zoom attendees list, starting with Becca Judy. Becca, I'll allow you to talk here and you can introduce yourself.
Did that work?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, here we are. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Becca Judy. I'm the Vice President of Residential Services with Pioneer Human Services.
Thank you, Becca. Bethan Mar.
That was well done. Yeah, I am Bethan Mar with Vashon Youth and Family Services, but also representing the Vashon Social Services Network.
Welcome, Bethan. Carol, she, her, hers. And Carol, you should be able to unmute yourself now if you'd like. All right, we'll move on to Cynthia Yongbang.
Oh, so sorry. Hi, everyone. Cynthia Yongbang, and I'm with the Hmong Association of Washington.
Thank you, Cynthia. Debbie Lacey, Eastside for All. Oh, it looks like you're using an older version of Zoom, Debbie, so it's telling me I can't allow you to speak, but if you'd like to introduce yourself in the chat, we'd really welcome that. G2L meeting host.
This is Jonathan Sugarman from Global to Local.
Welcome, Jonathan. Hamdi Abdullah. You should be able to speak now if you unmute yourself, Hamdi.
Yes, this is Hamdi Abdul from African Community Housing and Development, CTAC.
Welcome, Hamdi. We also have Jan Culp. And Jan, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Hi, yeah, Jan Culp. I'm a technical assistant with 501 Commons.
Welcome, Jan. Jimmy Brown, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes, hi, my name is Jimmy Brown with Ambitionist Prices Consulting and Build to Lead.
Welcome, Jimmy. Kimberly Meck, you should be able to unmute yourself.
My name is Kimberly Meck. I'm the director of the Alliance of People with Disabilities that serves King County.
Excellent. Welcome, Kimberly. Marcos Martinez.
Hi, I'm Marcos Martinez. I'm the executive director at Casa Latina in Seattle.
Welcome, Marcos. Rachel Gathoni. Rachel, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Hi everyone, this is Rachel Gadoni. I work with South King Healthcare Services that works with the migrants and refugees in the South King area.
Excellent. Welcome, Rachel. And finally here on the list is Will Booth.
Day Ulawan, everyone. My name is Will Booth. I am a Tsimshian from Northern British Columbia and Southeast Alaska, and I'm here representing the Duwamish Native Veterans Program.
Glad to have you with us, Will. Thanks for joining. And in the chat for everyone, it says hello, Debbie Lacey, East Side for All in East King County. We also have one person joining us by the phone, 206-407-6122. I'll give you the chance to introduce yourself here. And you should be able to unmute yourself now. All right. So that should do it for the folks who are in attendance. Now back over to you, Steph.
Thank you very much, Adam. And my apologies, everyone, for the audio hiccups along the way. I'll pause briefly to just say, Tommaso and Virginia and Adam, are there any key pieces that did not get communicated because my audio was dropping out that we need to make sure that we relay?
This is Virginia. Thanks, Kip. I think with the visuals, and we could hear mostly what you said. So I think I didn't notice anything that got dropped out.
Okay, thank you. And thankfully for everyone, my speaking portion is just about over. And then hopefully it'll be smooth sailing from here on out. But yeah, just to cover quickly on the agenda, what we plan to focus on. We'll go over the Veteran, Senior, and Human Services Levy, just kind of at a high level what it is. We'll then zero down into an overview of the social engagement strategy, and then specifically an overview of the Understand Community Priorities RFP, this particular RFP that we're having the bidders conference for. And then we'll touch on application assistance, and then go over the details of Zoom grants and how to apply. And then there'll be a space for questions and answers that you all may have, and we'll cover that. And at that point, we'll be able to, again, unmute you so that you can join in the conversation there. So please raise your hand and we'll loop that in. And also feel free to type any questions you have along the way into the chat, and we'll be monitoring that as well. So that is my section. And then Virginia, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Kip. Again, this is Virginia Wise on the senior team of the Veteran, Seniors, and Human Services Levy. So we're going to share a little bit of background about the Veteran, Seniors, and Human Services Levy. Can you go to the next slide, please? So this round of the Veteran, Seniors, and Human Services Levy was passed by King County voters in 2017. It's a 6-year property tax levy, and this is actually the third round of the levy. It's passed 2 times previous. This is the first round of the levy that includes seniors explicitly. And it represents also a lot of new investments in this round of the levy. And the levy has 5 primary results areas that its investments are focused on: housing stability, financial stability, social engagement, healthy living, and system access and improvement. And the 3 focus populations of the levy are veterans, service members, including their families, seniors, which we define as folks 55 and older, as well as their caregivers, and vulnerable populations, which is pretty broadly defined, and and maybe Tommaso will speak a little bit more to that, but representing multiple marginalized communities. And we actually have changed the name in response to community feedback from vulnerable populations to resilient communities. So you'll see kind of both names in our presentation and in the RFP materials. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the 3 major guiding principles of the levy are connection, belonging, and what can only the Veteran, Seniors, and Human Services Levy do. As a local property tax levy, we do have more flexibility in our funding and compared to some other sources of funding. So we're trying to maximize that and fill in gaps in services where we can. Next slide, please. Equity and social justice is a really core goal of the levy, as well as the work of our department and the county as a whole. And our overarching goal is to ensure that all people, regardless of who they are and where they live, have the opportunity to thrive with full and equal access to opportunity, power, and resources. And we have an image here of kind of how the county conceptualizes equity and social justice with at the foundation of a tree, a lot of different resources and supports for folks that are equitably accessible, being the core foundation for a healthy community. This particular RFP, Understand Community Priorities, falls under the social engagement results area of the levy. And as we will discuss later in the presentation, we have funding allocated for all 3 of the focus priority populations of the levy: veterans, seniors, and vulnerable populations. So a basic overview of the strategy. The funds allocations in this strategy will allow for this strategy is supporting community assessments, and specifically the funds will allow for 3 community assessments per population area. So 3 veterans assessments, 3 seniors assessments, and 3 resilient communities, formerly known as vulnerable populations assessments. The purpose of these assessments is for communities to do an assessment of their strengths, barriers, and needs, and then bring that information back to the county. And the purpose of these assessments will be to help inform the county, both in our current VSHSL operations, as well as what a future, hopefully a future iteration of the levy could look like. All right, and passing it on to Tommaso.
Hi, this is Tommaso Johnson with the Resilient Communities team at the county. So to get a little bit more into the details of this funding opportunity, as Virginia mentioned, the basic thrust of this is to provide funds for community organizations to conduct assessments, community assessments that are done in partnership with the community that is being the target community of the assessment. And this will provide back to the county a summary of what the assessment discovered regarding strengths, barriers, and needs within that specific community. So in the process, the assessment should center the community voice and expertise. There are many ways which the assessment could look. We are explicitly and specifically not using the term survey because we think assessment is a little bit more inclusive of many different sort of processes and methodologies that could be funded under this funding opportunity. The goal is that we want the community assessments to enable broad and robust engagement by the community groups and members. As I said, there are many methodologies that could be conducive to that. We have some examples listed here, such as talking circles, roundtables, workshops, questionnaires, focus groups, individual or group interviews. And as a reminder, this funding opportunity runs through from 2021 to 2023. Obviously, we're mindful that as the COVID-19 pandemic conditions continue to shift and change, this funding opportunity and the surveys conducted under it will need to be done in a way that can ensure safety for folks. And there's a lot that we don't know about that, and this funding opportunity is intended to be flexible in that regard. The community assessment must be designed in a way that will enable the funded entity to provide back to King County, as I said, upon completion of the assessment, information that speaks to the community's strengths, barriers, and needs, as well as any additional information prioritized by that assessed community. So in contract speak, the deliverables under this RFP will be first and foremost to design and implement an assessment in partnership with the identified community, to conduct some sort of analysis of the assessment results, and to report that in some form back to the county. And that under this RFP, that is designed to occur during 2022. And then there is a third 2023 year of the assessment period. And that's really, that third year is about doing further dissemination. So sharing out the results of the assessment, in addition to the county, the report to the county, sharing it back out with community. So as has been stated, there are 3 focus populations under this levy and 3 focus populations that will need to be targeted as part of these assessments. So those are veterans, seniors, and resilient communities, which is formerly known as vulnerable populations. Next slide, please. As I stated already, this RFP seeks to commission persons, tribes, or community-based organizations to run this assessment in King County. This will fund up to 9 community assessments, up to 9 total proposals from the community. The goal is to have 3 per population area. So as a reminder, those population areas, once again, are veterans, seniors, or resilient communities. And we'll talk a little bit more about what vulnerable populations or resilient communities means in this context. But the goal on our end is once the RFP closes and the applications have been submitted, will be to fund 9 separate assessment applications. So as a part of this RFP, the applicants will be asked to explicitly identify which community within the Veterans, Seniors, and Human Services Levy population area that they will be focusing on. So as part of your application, you will need to specify if your target community for the assessment is primarily veterans, as a senior or older adults community, or community that falls under the category of resilient communities. And there are some example communities here listed on this slide, listed in the RFP as well. And I'm not going to read through all of them, but this is, as a reminder, these are just some examples, but not designed to dictate the communities targeted. Next slide, please. So as I said, there's going to be three focus populations we're going to ask applicants to identify one that they are targeting. Within the resilient communities focus population area, the county is giving a specific priority to assessments that focus on illuminating the needs of communities at risk of increased economic, social, or other vulnerability due to individual or community contact with the criminal legal system, which can include those at risk of labor trafficking or other forms of economic exploitation. So once again, this is not saying that this is the only type of applications that we're going to be funding within this population category, but this is to be transparent about the fact that we are giving a priority to assessments that focus on this sort of subpopulation community here. And once again, this language is specific to the resilient communities focused population area, and it is contained within the RFP as well if you want to go back and read more about that. In terms of other priority areas, priority will be given as well to applications that seek to conduct assessments with communities or groups that have historically lacked access or may have faced challenges in engaging with the government. To draw down a little bit more specifically on that, priority will be given to applications from groups or communities that are not currently receiving funds from the Veteran, Seniors, and Human Services Levy or the King County Department of Community and Human Services. Additionally, priority will be given to applicants that are representative of or have lived experience with the community that will be the focus of the assessment. Once again, all of these priority categories that I've discussed are just that. They are priorities. They are not disqualifying factors. For example, if you're working with or you are from an organization that is currently funded by the levy, that doesn't mean that you'll be disqualified from applying. We're just attempting to be transparent about the desire to fund organizations that might not have already been beneficiaries of these type of funds in the past. Next slide, please. So for all of the funded entities, the scope of the RFP, a total of $958,347 is available for the 3-year program cycle. Applicants may apply for funding total of just over $100,000 for the program period. So that is sort of the ceiling per application. Applicants may make a request for an exception to be funded at a higher level, and that'll be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. In addition to that amount, applicants may request additional funds for translation or interpretation related to their assessment project, and they can request up to $10,000. And once again, that won't come out of the main funding amount of up to $106,000 approximately. And so you can see here a breakdown of the fund sources for this program. And once again, this funding will commence in 2021, January 2021, and run through the end of 2023. Next slide. As with all Veterans, Seniors, and Human Services Levy RFPs, applicants must meet the following minimum qualifications. So there must be an organization or entity that currently serve, identify as, or support the proposed community to be assessed within King County, and currently reside within or engage with the proposed community to be assessed in King County, with the ability to travel and conduct the assessment surveys to disparate and marginalized members of the community. Next slide, please. If you access the RFP information on ZoomGrants, you'll see The contract requirements are contained within section Roman numeral 5 of the RFP, which includes the King County boilerplate, which is another way of saying the part of the King County contracting documents that is contained within every contract are equity and social justice principles, as well as information about the evaluation component of this award. Next slide. A little bit of a timeline for the process on this RFP. It was released last week on Monday, October 12th. You're now watching a recording of, or you are participating live in the bidders conference on the 19th. We will be taking questions via ZoomGrants or via my email address, which is on the end of this presentation. Up until November 9th, and we ask you to submit your questions regarding the RFP before that time. And that's a week out from the time when the proposals will be due, November 16th by 12:59 p.m. During the month of December, the responses, the applications will be reviewed. Interviews, if they are deemed to be necessary, will be scheduled, and we will be notifying those selected and those not selected also during the month of December. And once again, the start date of the contracts, the target start date is in January 2021. Next slide. As a rundown, the way that these applications will be rated is listed here. We're expecting a clear and concise description of the population that the survey or assessment is designed to target. Description of the programming of the assessment. A section talking about the capacity and experience of the individual or organization applying. Equity and social justice question, a section that contains questions on those topics. Information about the proposed budget. And the process will consist of a review panel that will be selected from members of the community, subject matter experts, and staff that work at King County. And with the caveat that the final selection will be informed by King County division and department directors based on the recommendations for the review panel. And the contracts that will be executed will be based on those final selections. Next slide, please. Once again, the due date for proposals under this RFP is November 16th by 11:59 p.m. Complete submittals will include responses to the summary questions, geographic service intent form, responses to narrative questions, as well as a budget, and there is a budget template. All of this information is available on the ZoomGrants link as well. Next slide, please. As I said before, all the RFP materials are posted on the ZoomGrants link. All applications must be filled out and submitted via ZoomGrants. So that is the sole application portal that we're using for this RFP. You may submit questions regarding the RFP as well via ZoomGrants. And the link is here on this slide, and it's also on our Veteran Seniors and Human Services Levy website. Next slide. If you are a small organization and you are interested in application support or assistance with this RFP, you may contact our county contracted technical assistance and capacity building folks that are listed at the link below or on the RFP. And the requirements for utilizing this support are listed here. Fewer than 20 full-time equivalent employees and less than $4 million total operating budget. Next slide, please. Okay, if you've made it this far, we're at the end of the presentation. We encourage you to visit the ZoomGrants webpage, which contains all of the application information. If you have questions, you can ask them now in the chat. We encourage you to use the Q&A function within Zoom. But if you want to put them in the chat, that's fine too, whatever you're able to do. If you would prefer to ask a question verbally, I believe you should be able to hit the raise hand function or unmute yourself if you've already spoken to ask the questions. Additionally, in addition to this opportunity, as well as submitting questions through the ZoomGrants website, you can email me, and my email address is here, listed here on the slide, tamjohnson@kingcounty.gov. So I see a few questions in the chat. Will copies of the presentation be available to share within our organization? My understanding is that this recording will be posted shortly, and you'll be able to access the video recording. I'm not sure about the content of the slides specifically. If we're able to, we will share those. Although I will say all of the information in this slide deck is contained within the RFP as well. So there's nothing on these slides that isn't also in the RFP that's posted on ZoomGrants. I see a question, can an organization apply through a fiscal sponsor and can a coalition apply for this grant? Yes, you may apply if you are an organization that does not have 501c3 status and you rely on a fiscal sponsorship arrangement for that. You may, this and all Veterans, Seniors, and Human Services Levy grant opportunities are available to you. So that's a yes on that question. Can a coalition apply for this grant? I am understanding that question to be asking about joint applications that multiple organizations might wish to collaborate on a single application. And that, yes, the answer to that question is yes as well. That is acceptable. As with any RFP, when there is an application that's a collaborative or joint application, we expect within the context of the questions contained in the RFP, we expect to hear some information about how that collaboration, some details about how that collaboration is going to occur. Let's see, I see a question. If I'm not mistaken, this RFP was out before. What changes were made so we can understand better? What will be an example of equity and social justice? Virginia or Kip, do you want to speak to this question?
This is Virginia. Sure, I can speak to this question. You're right. This is a re-release of this RFP. So it was originally released last year, and we did not end up making any awards from it. So this is a re-release. It is mostly the same as it was. It's really similar to the RFP that was released last year. I think there's some information, particularly around the priorities that Tommaso spoke about in his portion of the presentation, that is a little bit more explicitly detailed. But overall, the purpose is the same and the goals are the same. So I would just make sure you look at this version of the RFP and review it carefully. But yeah, that's what I would say overall. In terms of equity and social justice, we have some specific questions in that portion of the narrative questions that pertain to equity and social justice. So you'll see those questions there in the narrative questions. And then you can refer also to the rating criteria in the RFP that will show you how we're going to be evaluating responses to those questions. We also got a question from Carol Brown at Hearing, Speech, and Deaf Center. I'm wondering about resilient communities. Is there an age range for this grant? So Carol, do you mean age range within the resilient communities population category?
This is Adam. Carol responded by saying yes.
So this is Tommaso, I can speak to that. So the category, the resilient communities category, which was formerly called vulnerable populations. So the way that is defined within the levy implementation plan and the ordinance is as follows, and I'll just read the definition. It doesn't have any age range in it. So the definition in the levy is persons or communities that are susceptible to reduced health, housing, financial, or social stability or outcomes because of current experience of or historical exposure to trauma, violence, poverty, isolation, bias, racism, stigma, discrimination, disability, or chronic illness. And that's a fairly broad category. And once again, there's no explicit age range on that. And so I hope that helps answer. We have a question in the chat. Your examples of populations were very narrow. Is it expected that applicants are all that narrow? Not necessarily. I think that the idea here is we want applications to have a specific community in mind, because we want the surveys, assessments, whatever form it might take. We want that to be telling a story about the community, about their barriers, their strengths, what the needs are. And so it's hard, there's a way in which it could be difficult to do that, to get meaningful information in an assessment without some level of specificity about the community. So I hope, that helps answer the question. No, we're not looking for any sort of specific degree of narrowness, to use your word, but also we do want proposals that respond to sort of a specific community. For example, the 3 population categories that this RFP covers, right? Veterans, seniors, and resilient communities. If there is an application that is submitted, for example, that just said we're doing a survey about all veterans in King County or all seniors in King County, maybe without further information spelled out in the application, maybe that might not be as competitive as something that was a little bit more targeted. So I hope that provides some clarity. And I don't know if Kip or Virginia, if you want to speak to that a little bit.
No, I mean, I think I was thinking of a similar example you just mentioned, Tommaso, that something as broad as veterans in King County. We're probably looking for something a bit more targeted again. One of the things we're wanting to learn and know about through this is what are we currently missing, or what are the gaps in services that only VSHSL, Veteran Senior Human Services Levy, can provide. So, you know, yeah, don't want to get too specific and here's exactly what we're looking for, because there's, you know, potentially things that, you know, aren't on our radar, but it would likely be targeted enough that helps to eliminate some of those gaps.
And Kimberly, I do see your response. You say it just appeared that all the examples were almost subsets of a subset of a group within the resilient communities category. So we are mindful of the fact that because of the way that resilient communities is defined, there are a lot of communities or populations that could be considered within that definition. So what we're hoping is that organizations and communities will try to put forward proposals that are reflective of the communities that they live in and work in. And I think that's what we're hoping to see is people putting proposals forward that are about the communities that they are a part of. And the RFP, the applications will ask applicants to identify sort of the primary category there, whether that's assessment that's centering on seniors, veterans, or one of the resilient communities populations. But we're mindful of the fact that, you know, in the real world, many people have life experiences and communities that bridge across a number of those categories.
We got another, well, I guess actually before we move on to Jimmy Brown's question, Kimberly, does that address your question? Okay, it sounds like, okay, Kimberly just had a follow-up question. Can applications cross over the three categories? We are asking applicants to select one group that their assessment, one of the VSHSL priority populations that their community that will be the focus of their assessment falls under. So seniors, veterans, or resilient communities. We recognize, as Tommaso was kind of just speaking about, that you may have a group that falls into multiple of those categories, but because of the funding is dedicated specifically across those three areas equally, we need to, we'll be distributing the awards across the three communities equally. So we're asking applicants to select one of the VSHSL priority populations, not multiple.
I see a question as well from Jimmy in the Q&A. Is there a specific target number or median number that this RFP is looking to assess for any of the populations? What I am understanding you to be asking is sort of, if you will, a sample size or a number of specific people to be assessed. So I think the short answer is no. The RFP doesn't, as far as I am aware, doesn't specify a certain number of community members to be assessed. So Virginia or Kip, do you have additional thoughts on that?
No additional thoughts. Yeah, I would, well, I guess I would just add it. It really depends on kind of the scope of the assessment and the parameters of the community. So I think we wouldn't have a single answer to that question.
Right. I was just
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. That not a specific number. I think we would expect that that would come through. As applicants are telling their story of here's how I'm planning to represent the community's strengths, needs, and barriers, and so yeah, not to be prescriptive on a certain minimum that would be needed to share that story. So no set number.
I see a question in the chat about the budget. Can the budget be less than $109,000, or would you prefer that we ask for the full amount? So as a reminder, first off, I'll say that the suggested maximum amount is just over $106,000, and that specific amount is in the RFP. In terms of our priority or preference, organizations can absolutely ask for less than that. The size of the budget proposed is not necessarily going to be something that makes an application more or less competitive. If an organization, if there's a proposal that requires less than the approximately $106,000 amount, by all means, our organization should feel free to submit a budget that comports with what they think they need to do the assessment. Once again, if it's over the $106,000 amount, will need to be information sort of requesting an exception and justifying that, and we'll expect to see that information contained in the relevant portions of the both probably the budget as well as other areas of the application. I see two questions in the Q&A. Will asked, what are the limitations, i.e. Things that the funding cannot be used to pay for? And I don't know if Virginia or Kip, you want to take a first swing at that.
I think we might have to get back to you on this question. Well, I'm open to hearing if Kip and Tommaso have other thoughts, but there are limitations just in general that are contained in the boilerplate that we mentioned earlier around what's eligible to be spent on or purchased with King County funds. Within the RFP, we have not, we haven't detailed kind of specifically what's eligible and what items that are eligible and not eligible within your proposal for this kind of assessment. But yeah, we may have to get back to you on more specifics related to other restrictions on King County funding. Kip and Tommaso, anything to add to that?
No, I don't have additional thoughts on that. I think I would encourage folks to review the RFP, read the RFP, and probably the most helpful way to try to respond to that question would be to hear if potential applicants have an idea of certain expenses that they have in mind and they're wondering or concerned about whether or not those will be eligible. I think it will be easier to assess that in that format rather than such a broad open-ended question that's probably better answered by turning to the text of what's in the RFP. I see Carol in the Q&A has asked a question about dissemination. So the question is, when you talk about 2023 being a time when the information is to be disseminated, can you generally explain the expectation of dissemination to who and how? So what the RFP says about this is that in 2022, the grantee will complete a report describing the findings and including, if necessary or if desired, potential follow-up recommendations for the county. And that report in 2022 will also describe the methodology used to collect and analyze the assessment results. And then what they're going forward, what the report, what the RFP says about the period after that in the remainder of 2022 and 2023. The RFP says the grantee will be expected to disseminate the report within the identified community in ways that are accessible and free of charge, and as needed, partner with King County on community engagement efforts related to that sharing out with the community. So that's the level of specificity and expectation around that. I think those are sort of the guideposts, and applicants should feel free to think expansively within that and submit proposals around. I think there's some flexibility for the awardees and the applicants to propose how they plan on doing that. And I think once again, that is probably going to depend quite a bit on the specific community that the assessment is being done within, and also the organization, what the organization has in mind. I'm not seeing any more questions at this time in the webinar chat or the Q&A. Is there anyone who was hoping to ask a question and has not had the opportunity to yet? If that's the case, seeing no further questions, then just want to remind you once again that my contact information is on this slide, and you have between now and November 9th, if you have further questions, please take the time to review the RFP materials on ZoomGrants, and feel free to submit questions between now and the 9th, either to me at that email address or through ZoomGrants that will go to the same place. And we will be posting responses, both recording the questions and posting written responses to those questions that we receive on the ZoomGrants portal as well, so that everyone has equal access to that information. So is there anything else that you wanted to close out with, Kip or Virginia?
No, just thank you to everyone for joining this meeting and for your interest in this program.
Yes, this is Virginia. I echo that too. Thank you.
Thanks all for taking the time, and thank you for joining us. And that will conclude this bidders conference.